Okay, let's wrap up how to read the Bible. This is our third and last video for how to read the Bible. Again, I'm in your chapter before you begin, and I'm just going to wrap up and review so that you are ready for your game in class and then your quiz. Again, we have the Old Testament and we have the New Testament. Let's talk about the Old Testament again for a moment. It is the first main part of the Bible. And here is a clue to the question I asked you in the first video. The Catholic Old Testament contains 46 books. This is different than the Protestant Old Testament. The Protestant Bible has fewer books in the Old Testament. And the four main sections are the Torah, or the Law, or the Pentateuch. And remember, the Pentateuch is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Then the historical books, the wisdom books, and the prophetic books. The Torah, as we just went over, and this goes over all of the different things. So please take time and read these so that you are familiar with what happens in each book. Then it breaks it down even more. Just be a little aware. You do not need to memorize this. Just understand the different things that are found in each of the sections of the Old Testament. And then this goes on and talks about it, so please take time to read all of this. Then we go to the New Testament, the second section of the Bible. Oh, let me go back right here. This is the main thing to remember about the Old Testament. The Old Testament is the story of God, especially the story of God keeping His covenant with the Israelites. Remember, the Israelites, the Hebrews, and the Jews are all the same people. And it's the story of God's covenant relationship with His people and how this is lived out and how the people are constantly invited back into a covenant relationship with God. God never abandons His people. God always maintains His covenant and keeps His covenant promises. It's us who has the issue. Now we move on forward to the New Testament. In the New Testament, we have the Gospels, Acts of the Apostles, the letters, and the book of Revelation. We have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now, even though Matthew was first, really, Mark is the oldest and was first written. And this tells the story of Jesus from His life, His teachings, death, resurrection, and ascension. And this is the fulfillment of God's promise to Adam and Eve to send a Messiah. Then we go on. These are called, Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called the Synoptic Gospels. Synoptic means same view because they tell the same story. Whereas the Gospel according to John is very different. It tells a more theological, a more in-depth understanding of Jesus as the Son of God. Then we have the Acts of the Apostles, which is also written by the same person as the Gospel according to St. Luke. And it tells about the life of the early church. Then we have the letters. Another word for letters is epistles. And these are writings from the first apostles and St. Paul, the apostle. And there are 13 epistles, and then there are letters that some people think were written by Paul, but through biblical scholarship, they feel now that they were not written by Paul, as well as the Catholic letters in the very back. Then the book of Revelation. So let's go back to our smartboard and review. Have some notes here. The word Bible comes from Greek. And these are your notes, so you can take notes on your own time. I will give you some quiet time to go over these notes and to take them down so that you will be ready. I hope you've enjoyed and you feel more comfortable now understanding the Scripture and how to look things up, since we will be using the Bible throughout our entire semester and second semester as well. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I'm going to give you a few minutes of just silence so that you can look over these notes.